myself.
Good.
Okay. Wow, 12:03. I'm gonna say we can get started. Thanks everyone for coming. So we're gonna write down 12:03, and then I will hand it over to Lori to do a quick roll call.
Okay. Dawn Harper.
Here.
Janine McAllister.
Here.
Okay. Dr. Robinson is online. Angel. Kylie. Chris Mitchell. Connie Shari. Brenner and Greg Cassidy is online. Okay.
We don't quite have a quorum. Kylie said that she would come, so maybe she'll come in a little late, so we'll see. But we can continue on. I think that's, oh yeah, right. So we do have one other person online. Matt, could you introduce yourself just one more time, please?
Hi, yes, my name is Matt Wigginton. I am a village board member in Peoria Heights.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I think everyone here right now. Oh, we also have, oh, there we go. I knew you were coming. So Kylie just walked in.
Okay.
We have Lori and Michael from Tri-County as well. Perfect. So now we do have an in-person quorum. So let's do a quick vote to allow all virtual participants to be able to participate. Are we okay with including them in the vote if they choose? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Perfect. That's all the administration done. Okay, so is there any public comment today? Okay. All right, so moving on to agenda item number 3. I'm going to share my screen here. So if you were able to do the grading sheet, great. If not, that's fine. We can walk through it here.
Cool.
So, oh, I see that Kofi just joined. Welcome. I will share my screen. I'm going to switch some things around real quick just to make sure we can do what we need. And, okay. This is the grading sheet. I believe everyone online can see this. So this is a grading sheet, and I will go through each one. So basically, what we're going to do today is we're going to select which project or projects will be funded. I will say if you or your organization had a hand in any of the specific projects, then you cannot grade for that project, because that'll be a conflict of interest. But we will go through each one and kind of look through this grading sheet, and we can all grade together. Then we can select which ones we want. So this one has a pretty limited funding amount based on what we've received. So we have 178,000 available. But the way that we did this was kind of a pilot project. The way that we've done this this grant application is that normally we have separate applications for all these different funding streams. We as Tri-County have to manage different funding streams. This is just one of them, 5310. So we said, well, this year, let's try and combine all of them. It'll make it easier. I don't know about easier is what it ended up being, but it was different. But it's good to test out different options. So some of these applicants probably would not have applied to 5310 otherwise, and only part of their projects are actually relevant to 5310. So we'll talk through it to see some options of how we can use up the money or just like allocate it in a way that makes sense. So I'm just gonna go one by one and let me open up each one. We're not gonna go through very in depth, but just to give an idea of what each of these is. So we're gonna start with the city. Oh, that's a typo on my part. The city of East Peoria, not village. Just saying that now. So basically, this project is at Old Main and Mariners Way intersection. So this is they have done a project, a plan to study how they can make this intersection better. And I could let me actually bring up a map because it's easier to visualize that.
Why she does that. Links Route 20, which goes from downtown Peoria all the way to ICC, runs along this corridor and stops on the access road on the north or the east side of the road. And then there are a bunch of businesses on the west side of the road, but there is currently no pedestrian access across Illinois Route 116, which is a 4-lane highway with speed limit being 55 miles an hour right there. There are no pedestrian signals, so it's kind of cross at your own risk. I live kind of near here, so I have seen people crossing right here. So it's kind of dangerous. And I think actually last year, one of the businesses on the west side of the roadway here actually called the city of East Peoria to kind of like complain and give their input that, you know, something needs to be done here, which is what prompted the city for applying for planning funds from Tri-County to do a feasibility study, which we completed last year, and then now they are applying for these funds as a result of that. But I'll let Rima show it better.
Yep. That was a really helpful explanation. So the bus stop is right in here. So you turn on this parallel road. But as you can see, there's no accommodations at all. So if you want to get across the street, you better run.
I have seen hotel workers
Yeah.
running across that street at the intersection. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, and definitely if anyone is older or has a disability, which is what the Section 5310 funds focus on, those populations, then they need more time. So it's for everyone, but specifically for those populations. The only negative for this project in terms of 5310 is that they apply for more than the funding that we have. So we wouldn't, if we chose to fund them, we wouldn't be able to fund 100% of them. So this is the total, but let me get to their budget. So here.
338.3.
338. And is this?
They filled out our form if you go down.
Okay.
Well, they didn't split it up, but that's fine.
Wasn't it like 260?
Let me open.
We'd have to.
I have it. It is, so if you did the 80/20, it's 270,640 for the 80% request, and then 67,660 for the 20% match.
Okay, yeah. So they requested over 200,000 for the federal portion, and we only have 178,000 available. We can talk more either now or afterward. I guess it's here. They did split it up by phase 1 engineering, phase 2, and phase 3 engineering. And those, if possible, maybe can have the option to fund this in part. And then they also applied for a different funding stream. So maybe they would be able to do the construction element with a different funding stream.
Yeah, it's 45,200 for just engineering.
That's for all both phase.
That's for phase 1, phase 2, and 3. And that's just the 80%, not the match portion of it.
That is basically, those are the basics of this East Peoria one. I know there's a whole lot of words.
There's a map maybe that you have that might be helpful for this one specifically. That shows what it might look like.
Grainy, but you can see kind of these crossing areas.
Yeah.
So they've already done the planning for where they would structure, how they would structure it.
Yeah, and I think the recommended one is just the one crossing, so not having the two crossings or the three crossings. So they'd have two crosses of the three, the darker green portion.
Oh,
The dark green is what they're looking for.
That was the recommended alternative in the feasibility study, but with the other alternative being the lighter green as another option.
Is the triangle that's in the middle of the road, is that currently a stoplight? Or what is that, where the green's going to it? You know,
In the middle right there.
yeah, right there. What
Yep.
is that triangle? Is
That's
that
where
standard?
the stoplight post is at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the preferred proposal is to go to the stoplight, a crosswalk, and then a crosswalk from that.
No, so the preferred one's the one where Remus,
the dark.
right, the dark one, yeah,
I
All
see that now.
because that limits your crossing in length.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
And the blue that's in that area where your marker is that part of it as well, the walking path to the?
yes, yeah, that would be part of it as well.
Sure.
That is the East Peoria one. And why don't we try, let's see if we can grade it live. And if anyone, I have a couple blank sheets here, so we don't have to agree on all the specifics, but let's see. So start at the top, the local match. So they did,
There's a resolution in there.
there was, yeah. So they did include a resolution from their board. They have an East Peoria Mass Transit District Board, and they have passed this resolution to say that they will pay for the local cost.
Which is 20%.
Yes, 20%, which they stipulated as 68,000.
Yep, that's rounding up.
So if we're looking at, do they have a local match? And these are the options: strong evidence of local match, some evidence, or no evidence. So we can choose. It's not clicking it for me.
Can you click twice in the box itself, maybe?
Arrow key down.
Weird. Look at that. Oh, I just did it too.
I know.
Well, maybe, okay, how about we go through all the projects? Back to this. Hold on, let me close this and open it back up.
Yeah, I think it's just doing something weird.
Maybe I forgot how to function. Try it again. Wow. So weird. It's most of what I was gonna do today, so maybe we don't do it this way.
I can open it and do it on my end.
Okay, yeah, maybe I just show the options here. And then do you want to just document it on yours?
I can.
If you send it on Teams, maybe we can bring it up after.
Oh, yes, let me,
So we will do our best to grade live. So these are the different options for East Peoria. So what do we think about their local match? Do we think it's strong?
You would think strong, it didn't have a.
Yeah.
Did you say that in, Could you-
This is here.
because
Here, I will.
you have it titled as master, so I don't see that in our
Oh.
grading.
It's in the scores. One for you, one for me.
I-
One.
Oh,
Yeah, I have.
There we
I have
go.
2 separate.
didn't see that
Okay.
folder. Thank you. Okay.
I wish I would.
Okay.
It's different this year.
All right.
Hello,
Sorry about.
Rima.
Yes. Oh, hi, Chris.
Okay, so I am in the email that you sent yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, and which section do I go into? Project submissions?
Okay, so right now, yes, that'll be, let me open up on mine, make sure it's right. Right, so project submissions, we just went through East Peoria.
Okay,
And you know what, I feel like maybe we don't use this. Let's go through all of them because I feel that this is being more trouble than it's worth at this moment. So let's go through all of them individually and then we'll come back. So we just went through the East Peoria project and then I'm going to open up the next one on my list, which is Greater Peoria Mass Transit District.
I didn't do those.
Okay, so
I did.
this one is, as many of you know, Washington, Illinois has their paratransit service. And was funded through 5310 the first time around. This is the request to extend it. And
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I clearly missed this. Is there any way to print off?
Plus, I didn't get all those.
Yeah,
The only one I got was this, the East Peoria one.
Oh.
And
I didn't get all these.
And the scoring.
I didn't get these
didn't get all the
individual
other-
things like he has,
Did you just?
because that would be super helpful for
If you want to
me.
go ahead and, I've read them all, so.
Well, I'd like to have an extra copy. I don't want to take from anybody else. Are they stapled?
Did you
Do
get?
you have a copy machine? I could just run copies of his real quick.
I could print them off here really fast.
Okay.
Here, that way.
How many copies do we need?
I,
Two?
because all I got was the East Peoria one. I didn't.
And the scoring.
And the scoring, I didn't get the other one.
I pretty much need everything.
Yeah.
I not hit something.
I don't know, I got lucky.
I included this is the link that I included. So it was this.
I'm so sorry.
Never an email, and I clicked on the right one, I guess.
So I was not reviewing the right stuff clearly to know.
That's right. I thought there was only one.
Oh, sorry about that. It was in
Six,
project submissions.
So the six.
So we're gonna do our best. We're gonna do our best to work through them.
I may not have very much input then, since I didn't get a chance to review it and read it.
Yeah, and there's a
There's
lot
only
in here,
one.
so I was just gonna summarize them now and.
Yeah.
Summary is great.
Summary
And
is
I
great.
think that
but
might be.
I need the visual tool as well.
Need some of these around.
So can we ask questions about the project, or are you gonna go through them all first?
How about if you have a question about
These
each
two.
individual?
I have a question about the East Peoria.
Go ahead.
Let's get back
Is
to that.
this the only funding that they can get to do intersection improvement like that?
No,
Okay,
there is a separate funding stream, called the Transportation Alternative.
that's
through
what I
IDOT.
would think.
Yes. So
So-
any of these, all.
And they didn't show that. Some of these showed where they had applied, there's other federal grants in here. You had a list of different ones on the one sheet. There were,
Yeah, so East Peoria applied in their request, they asked for Section 5310 funding and then our enhancement funding, which is grouped of both our transportation alternatives and carbon reduction program. So there was, I guess, 3 program requests for this funding.
Yes.
But
in their application.
this 340 here is separate from the other requests, or
No,
it
it's-
could be part of
It
this?
includes all of it. So
Okay,
that's the total funding request for the project, and then they just want this project to be considered for all three of those funding programs, so they can hopefully get funding for it.
Right.
so we don't know what the other project ones are gonna fund them, so.
Watching.
See, that's what's confusing.
So it's 80
Me.
match.
Okay.
So we'll put up the 80 then.
We have
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so when we say match,
Okay.
sorry, we talk about this all the time internally, but
This is
I
the
recognize
first time I'm
that
sorry.
that's not. So match is basically, this federal program, 5310, you apply for the funds, but they require you to pay for part of the project.
Okay.
So it's like, you have to put up the fund, whether it's like, whatever they specify, so like motor fuel tax, or maybe it's City of East Peoria dollars that they just have. So they would have to prove that they will pay for part of the project, and then the feds, if they accept it, would say, okay, this sounds good, we'll give you 80% of
Okay.
your project.
Okay. And so since their total is so high, they've got 3 extra funding that they're applying for, one of them being which ours. We can then cherry pick which portion we could help with because we have 5 others to get through.
Potentially.
Okay.
So we can, and even if we say no to this one, then they're still in the running for the others.
Okay, so we can review all of them and then go back through and figure out which ones we want. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then are they printed off, sir?
Yes, I'm printing them now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
I apologize to the whole group for not being
It's
prepared.
okay, and it's, I was gonna go through all of them anyway, so.
I found that was.
Yeah. I need what this fine gentleman is so prepared with over here.
Yeah, maybe. Well, something I'm not signing, but that's.
So, and we won't need to read through all of them. I'm just trying to give the high level overview. So, so this next project, I'll dive in while the others are being printed. So, this is Greater Peoria Mass Transit District. Like I said, they're applying to continue their Washington Illinois service. And this is a paratransit service, that has lasted since 2020, August 2022. Is that right? And so the funding that they applied for last, which was $100,000, has lasted until now, and it's going to expire. They anticipate within 6 months. So in order to extend the project, they want to apply for these funds once again, for this request for Section 5310 for operational funding to fund an operation of where like actual transit is going. They're paying for that. That requires a 50% match. So the whole project is actually 200,000. They're requesting 100,000. So that's like within the parameters of this, the requirements. As you can see here, they say a local match has been committed from the serving communities. That's Washington. Resolution will be provided. Provide 88 paratransit services to the Washington community, which does not have another paratransit option. So there's a whole lot more words in this application that I'm not going to read just now, just since we're going through the high level. But that's the main aspect of it. So serving Washington with paratransit service with existing city lift vehicles. So they're not buying any more vehicles. And I think that's the main part. There's a whole lot more, but that's the short. Just want to make sure there's no. Okay, so here's the map. That just shows the Washington Township. They also have their taxi service. that's a separate thing for, different age groups.
That's the entire yellow area.
Mhm.
That's the entire outer black line area.
Yes.
As a service?
It's a taxi service that we use. It's really not taxi now. The taxi people retired. So we have an event company that does it for us now, that's got nicer vehicles and actually, yeah, it's working well. It's working well. But it doesn't have handicap availability. It's strictly for ambulatory, people that can get in and out. And we researched all the car type services around that would be able to work with us, and Uber, GoGo, Grandparent, all those kind of things that are out there. And by the time you figure time and will they help people in and out of a vehicle, a lot of them will not, because it's a liability issue. So you have to find somebody that's willing to provide all those things that you'd like to see in a service. And the TDK Events, who does it now for us, are very nice people. They do events on weekends. They'll take people to weddings or to a football game and provide the hotel and the whole thing. So if you want to do an event thing and get a group together and go somewhere, you call them and they set it up and do all the buying and you pay them. But during the week, they don't have anything going on. So that's how we got together through another source I know and said, hey, this company's looking for something to do during the week. Great, so we struck a deal and it's,
Okay. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. No, thank you. And that's just for seniors.
We charge the seniors $3 a ride to go anywhere in the township they want to go. It doesn't go outside the township.
Say that they go.
Except for there's two places outside the township, Illinois Eye Center up by ICC and the Cancer Care Center there. We will take them there because it's close on the line and that's a big need for seniors. So that is that. But we charge the seniors $3 each way. So it's a $6 round trip ride. And we pay $22 each way. So we're paying $44 and they're paying $6.
It's good. That's helpful.
Has the ridership improved out there?
It
Yeah,
stayed
so-
steady. It stayed steady. It's usually over 100 rides per month.
Mhm.
And in different seasons, different times, it's more or less. And it's just trying to keep the word out, let people know. And I do believe it's going to increase substantially with the new provider. It's like I say, they're nicer vehicles and there's still some little things in there that are quirky.
Has there been a year-over-year gain?
It's been a gain since we started it.
Okay.
It's pretty steady about where it's at now,
Okay.
But we think that the people that have it now are going to promote it more, which they have. They put more on social media about the ride service. So
Okay.
they're really good at that, at marketing the thing.
Yeah. And so this one would be different than the taxi service. But this is for adults, not necessarily seniors.
Yeah.
In Washington.
People 18 and over. And we do a lot with high school, with getting kids with disabilities, both, physical and intellectual, getting them to services in Peoria, like Epic, and employment and services they need. So that's a biggie too. Anyway.
All right. I don't want to rush, but I'm going to jump to the next one. I know they are printing. They're just kind of large documents, so they're working on it. So the next one is the City of Peoria Pioneer Parkway Multi-Use Path. I will say this one is a much larger project along an area that has a few bus stops that are kind of loosely adjacent. So they want to make a multi-use path, so that would be kind of a usable with pedestrians and bikers. And this, I'll show the map. So this is a much larger project. Like I said, they're asking for $2 million. The 5310 portion is maybe would potentially be some small.
Is that through the length of the whole stretch of Pioneer Parkway
Yes,
from Knoxville to Allen?
yes.
Yeah.
On the south side of the roadway, it'd be the bluish green.
Both sides?
No, just the south side. It's is it 10 foot or 8 foot? I think it's an 8 foot.
Really ADA compliant, right?
Yes, it'd have to be ADA compliant.
So yeah, this one is tricky because obviously we can't fund all of it with this specific funding stream. But it has some small connections to transit.
Yeah, yeah. So this one, they're requesting most of the money to be from transportation alternatives or the carbon reduction program. But since there are some bus stops close to it, that's why they submitted also for Section 5310 funding.
Is there a potential for it to be sectioned off, or do they have to do it all at once?
The application is for the entire the entire length of the roadway.
Is that the project that's going on now in front of 2000 Pioneer Parkway?
No,
No,
no.
Okay.
they are currently doing some road construction on Pioneer Parkway.
And what's the ask on this? I forgot. 2 million?
$2 million. Again, we have 178,000.
And but they do have access to other
Yeah.
avenues of funding as well, do they not?
Yes. Yep.
They're requesting how much?
2 million.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Yes. So again, this one is one that applied for all other funding streams, and they threw 5310 on like, oh, if we can get some, great. So it's up to us to understand, is that
The breakdown?
worth it? Is it possible? So you can see there are some bus stops nearby, but not necessarily right there. So this is the
I mean, it would make sense
area.
for Knoxville to Hale. Or no, excuse me, what is that right there? Pioneer Lane,
Here.
North Pioneer Lane.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could do the math. Yeah.
It's an accommodation-rich route because the Social Security office is there.
Right,
And TransDev is back off of Hale. That's their major work site and parking site. And the bus stops are very few, and it requires a lot of pedestrian walking in dangerous situations. And so, you know, I can see why they would be asking for a lot of money because there's not sidewalks. And HISRA, Heart of Illinois Special Recreation, is on Pioneer Road. So, you know, it serves a lot of population that we're talking about.
And then Epic is
Sorry
also
to interrupt. I apologize.
No, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
and they're doing the southern side, which it looks like most of our bus routes are on the northern side.
Yeah,
So they'd still have to cross the street.
right. Yeah,
I
there's
had to
only,
get a note from my doctor about riding around on the fixed route because riding around is not usually allowed, but it was so dangerous to cross that street. And there's no way I could have done it without dying.
Yeah, the only cross that is very protected is Summer Street, I think. Right there where the Rock Island Greenway goes over. There's a light there.
Oh yeah, there's a light at Hale as well.
Mhm. Yes.
Well, I can't get across War Memorial by my house in the lights and how the light is set. You know, IDOT sets the light time. And when I lived at Fry and Prospect as my bus stop, I had to wait through 3 light circuits before I could get across the street. It's the nature of my disability. So,
Yeah.
sorry
Right.
to be passionate, but it's a reality too for me and
Oh.
others.
That's good to have. And I don't think there are pedestrian signals on the Hale stoplight.
Somerset, yes, I think so.
Right. That's this project. If we had $2 million, we could throw it here. But that is the city of Peoria. I think I'm gonna jump to the next one. Just so we can keep it going and then we can talk more. So this one is interesting because I had never heard of them. So this is a nonprofit organization called Pearl Transit Corporation, and their ask is great. It is over the this is where I had the number 260 in my head. It's from this application. They ask more than what we have in our funding pot. They ask for 260,000, and their project is 24-hour trip planning and transportation services for seniors and people with disabilities living in Peoria, Tazewell, and Woodford counties. So this would be amazing. But
So this is a competitor to City Lift.
yeah, I don't understand the logistics.
Well, and
Well,
They don't.
as a new entity though, and I say competitor, I know there's differences in there. You know, they're saying they're 24 hours. So they can do second, third shift. They're going to do weekends. Sometimes City Lift cannot accommodate those kind of things they're talking about earlier, 24-hour service. But I don't know whether anybody's done any research into this group. I've never heard of them before.
I've never heard of them.
They haven't been participating, obviously, in the HSTP team.
right.
Yeah, so they're out of New Jersey. Okay. And so I don't know. I don't know how you fund somebody you never heard of before.
I'm sorry, could you give me, what are they requesting? What do they want?
Yeah,
$260,000
For,
so
set up their transit service here.
they want to make a transit service, is what I understand. 24-hour trip planning and transportation services for seniors and people with disabilities in the whole Tri-County area.
Which sounds amazing.
Which sounds amazing.
Dream.
It's
Well, in their project, they're talking about, this is what they want from us, and they plan on getting the rest of the money through private donations.
Yeah, which the rest
Donations of
$2.4 million.
of businesses and philanthropy and people of interest, and I don't know.
yeah,
I'm a little suspicious.
the budget is
I was gonna say that's just a sketch.
the budget is interesting
Damn.
because I don't know, they only asked for 260,000, which is more than what we have in this pot.
And they only applied for 53
They
kids.
only applied for this funding.
So they- Yeah.
But I would certainly want to do some research into these people before
Yeah.
any of your funds go.
I mean, once research is done, if it is legit, it would be beneficial. Now, would this be in addition to City Lift or replacing City Lift?
It would have to be an addition.
I think the way their project reads, they would only provide trips to people who do not qualify or cannot get a trip through an existing means. So it's saying that it wouldn't interfere with any current business. It would only be in addition to any current business. But again, it's an unknown entity. I'd agree with that. It's not something I'd be interested in.
What would be the percentage of people that would not qualify for other means? I mean, does it sound like it would really?
If it's 24/7 for folks, seniors and folks with disability, I mean, it'd be incredibly useful. I mean, there's no on demand for the folks I serve, for the folks with developmental disabilities to get to jobs and everything. It'd be great, but I don't want, and I don't know how even with $2 million, how that gets done. That's a $2 million a year project, not $2 million,
Right.
Total. I think it'd be great in theory. I would not see that as a viable thing.
Yeah.
At the emergency rooms, if you have no transportation, Methodist calls the ambulance company to get people home in a wheelchair ambulance, and my equipment has gotten damaged doing that. But is this really an alternative to that that's less expensive than the cost of an ambulance, a wheelchair and ambulance? And is this process available to people who may not qualify for City Lift and just not have a ride?
Yeah, it reads as for seniors and those with disabilities. So it'd be equivalent as City Lift.
So, pardon my questioning, if it's 24 hours a day, what seniors would need it?
Yeah, and what people with disabilities are gonna need.
I need it at
10 o'clock
night.
at night or
Well, again, I
1
think
in the
Chris's
morning.
example of coming home, if you have a service
At
like
work.
that, you don't have to take an ambulance and use their resources just to get somebody home would be beneficial. But again, I kind of whole, who is this company?
And there are several, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But I think there are several non-medical services to
Yes.
get people home. Not ambulances are the high end, most expensive. But there's a brand new Illini, I think is a brand new one that started down in East Peoria, from former ambulance people.
Taxi services have contracts with, if an elderly person at night is getting released from a hospital, they have charge accounts where they can just charge it to like City Lift or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know how those all work, but
No.
Stark County doesn't
Then that-
necessarily charge people.
City Lift.
Wait,
Hold on,
we have
sorry.
multiple talking
Chris,
here.
say that one more time.
Stark County,
Oh, okay, you mentioned Stark County.
which is a non-emergency.
Right,
Service.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
This-
they make it really hard. They don't want people who need a lift to use it without a wheelchair. And if you don't have a wheelchair, how do you get where you're going? They arrive without the lift and try to tell you to get in and take a medical risk. I'd have to say no thanks. I've had to get off of City Lift because they wanted to use the stairs and I'm not allowed to. So how do we sort that out? Because those eligibility experiences don't make for successful transportation, even if you know about it.
Yeah, and Chris, I agree with you, this Janine, with all the options that are out there. The reality is when you make a call to them, they don't get scheduled when you need them, or you're sitting there for 2 hours waiting for them, or you get fired by your doctor because you're late and they have to keep someone at the office to pick you up. My hesitation again with this company, as was mentioned, we don't know them. I don't know how they're going to raise $2 million. Is that going to be through our donations locally or back in New Jersey to fund something going on in our tri-county area? It just doesn't sound.
Yeah, something doesn't sound right.
Well, and in their application, they're making some statements and they had some, apparently this is going all over the country because there's something in here and then it says something about the tri-counties, but then it said Los Angeles County.
Oh, I didn't
And
see
I'm
that.
waiting.
I missed the
So
Los Angeles County.
How is this, how many communities are they trying to approach?
Yeah.
I think it's just a big run.
I think it's
Yeah, it sounds like we all feel the same about this.
It's tight as.
The idea is wonderful, but actual
I agree.
reality, I don't know. Okay, all right, moving on to our next one. City of Pekin. This is similar to Peoria in the sense that it's a very large application that if it's funded, it would be through something else. At least the great majority of funds will be through a different funding stream. So knowing that, and they applied for several different funding streams. And again, they threw 5310 in just to try and cover their bases. So the name of this is Broadway Street Rehabilitation. They are hoping to do to rehabilitate Broadway Street in Pekin. They are asking for $2.8 million. Let me find a map here. Looking through this application. Okay, so this is on Broadway between 14th and Parkway. And there are some bus stops here. And so it's a much larger project. They did, Michael looked through the budget that they submitted, which is here as well, it's in this application. But it looked like, there's a whole lot of line items here, but it looked like the only thing we could find for transit related appeared to be 2 bus stop benches for $1,000 each. If anyone found anything else in this budget that was not strictly construction related for the road itself.
There are some sidewalks in here, but it's like 480,000.
Some of their sidewalks are
Or it's 48,000, I'm sorry.
They were gonna redo the.
in disrepair. I travel that road a lot, and I know that that's where Pekin's primary housing is located
Yeah,
along
the
there.
housing authority's right there.
And, you know, those sidewalks are questionable, and that housing goes deep a couple of blocks. And I think they stated in their application also that there was no way to get people really deeper into the housing to the bus stop. So I don't know.
I'm sorry, how much are they requesting for sidewalks?
Let's see.
For the construction, I think it was 48,000, and then for removal of the old ones is a different line item.
Is it part of the suit that,
I was just gonna say,
is Broadway or is it Court Street that they were by law had so many years to make all these changes?
for the ADA.
Oh, well, so they have an ADA plan by law that they have to make all these changes citywide.
Yeah.
So that's citywide, not just Court Street.
But they, yeah, because
Yeah.
they had to come up with that.
Yes. Yes.
Now are the sidewalks for the whole length of that area or just sectioned?
I bet it's the whole
I'm
length.
not sure.
I go based off of the prior projects that they've done. It's the whole length.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a feel of what they're asking for.
Because this is a
What we can do.
reconstruction project that they applied for reconstruction funding and then also added transportation alternatives and Section 5310 funding to help.
But it's like you said, the only thing here that's transit related is the bus stops.
And the sidewalk.
And the sidewalks.
Potentially.
So the tear down of the sidewalks and the
Sidewalk REM is
new sidewalks would be 48,000 plus what?
Yeah, but there's also demolition of the old sidewalks.
Right, that's what I mean.
Stuff, yeah, there's several things in there.
So removal is 48,000
Removal.
and then how much to replace?
So the sidewalk removal is 48,000,
Right,
and then
I saw it and I just lost it. There was a
pavement
Something sidewalk.
is 8,000.
Well,
they also have pedestrian signals there as well.
yeah,
For the two.
accessible pedestrian signal.
Yeah.
so is that us too?
That would be us too.
30, that's another 32,
Yeah.
3,200, 4,000, wasn't it?
32,000 plus,
Well,
and then I just need to know that last amount.
I know it's on this paper if you look.
You know what? My computer's got to die. I'm gonna grab my.
Let me control F in this thing.
You get my board.
Say,
They didn't follow our,
don't say what it would be to, it just has the removal on it.
Surface, HMA surface removal,
yeah, that's for the roadway.
that's not us.
A bench, a bus stop bench is $2,000.
Yeah.
$1,000.
That was for two.
$1,000 each, that's actually not too bad. Sidewalk removal, 48,000. Traffic signals,
I don't see it on here.
Well, if there's
We don't
PVC
do-
concrete sidewalk, it's 420,000.
There we go. It was 400,000. I say it was a lot.
so another 420,000,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
that's that's 500,000 total.
So we can move on to the last one. And honestly, unfortunately, I shouldn't have included this because I found out afterward that it's not eligible. But just to let you know, so We Care submitted an application to rehabilitate their paratransit vehicles, which if this were in the urbanized area, it is allowable, but We Care is rural. And for this specific funding stream for 5310, it's specific to urbanized areas. And I even reached out to them and I said, do you have vehicles that are specific to urban areas? And they said no. So unfortunately, I'd love to help, but it's no longer eligible.
Okay.
They had asked for 50,000.
Yeah, and we just asked because Morton is technically in the urban area, so Molly went ahead and wrote it, but we understand that it's because we're the rural provider, it doesn't bother.
So it would be eligible if what you rehab is only for Morton. But you'd have to not use it in the rural area.
Yeah, and we wouldn't want to limit ourselves and not be able to get to our primary locale.
Yeah.
So if we took what's requested for East Peoria, 340, if we took what Washington's requesting 100, the city of Peoria 2 million, and the 500,000 for Pekin, that comes to $2,940,000 that everybody is requesting. Is that correct? We took out the We Care, right?
I'd have to redo the math, but that
That's
sounds
the same
right.
for us,
Based on what we
right?
talked about, yeah.
Okay. Round up to 3 million.
So it's
We got
significantly more than what we.
78,000. 178,000.
Yeah,
right?
178,479, 178,479. I don't know why this is.
I did not include Pearl Transit because I guess I'm not comfortable with that, but I don't know how anybody else feels. Yet, anyway. We revisit it every time.
That's
Yeah, it's not still pixelated. I'm gonna download it. All right, so
if you include everything, it's 5 million, 5.1.
yeah, your number would be more accurate if we just focus on the transit. Yes, so this is clearly way more than we can obligate, but we can think about which options we have. Peoria Mass
My
Transit
opinion would be
District. Go ahead,
I would
Greg.
think that Pekin, with Pekin and Peoria both having such huge projects and with other money that they're applying for other places, I would prefer to look at using our limited funds to fund the East Peoria and the Washington project
Okay, yeah,
at whatever level.
right.
And by Washington project, you mean GP Mass Transit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
in the
disability
in the
side.
Washington and rural service area.
I agree with the East Peoria and the Washington, but I'd also like to add a little bit for the Pioneer Parkway.
Let's see, so we.
Is it Jim?
That's great.
Right.
Yeah. I would agree with the two, with the city of Peoria having the fund, that we look at that intersection that looked very dangerous. People shouldn't have to run across the street to get to their job on the Washington or East Peoria one, and contributing to that as well as to keeping that gray area going over in Washington.
Just a quick question. Are we allowed to just do portions of one or is it all or nothing?
No, Washington we stated in our application, if we can't get the whole thing, we'd like a partial. So
Okay.
it's not, if we can't, if there's not enough money, then we split it however it goes and we'll make it work.
Right. So Greg, you don't agree that maybe helping out with the Pioneer Park one would be beneficial?
I mean, I think it'd be beneficial. I think on a $3 million project, I'm not sure what our money would do, but I mean, we can do that. I think we're having a more immediate impact on the two smaller projects. That don't have a lot of other options to apply for. That's just my opinion. I'll go with whatever the committee.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in the East Peoria and the Washington project. Is there an option for us to write letters of support to other funding streams if we can't provide it?
At this point, what we can do is this group can make a recommendation for which projects to fund with 5310, and so the next step for us, Tri-County, is to go to our technical committee meeting. So we can tell them, well, the HSTP Urban wanted to fund these 5310 projects, but they express interest in other funding to support these other projects. So we can say it that way. We can
Yeah.
put it in.
Okay.
Yeah, because after these, we're going to be looking at some of these projects again with other committee meetings for specifically the different funding streams. So when we're at those meetings, we can say that, hey, our HSTP Urban Committee looked at these projects specifically for the City of Peoria Pioneer Parkway. They really like this project and would like to see it funded, but since HSTP has so much limited funding, we weren't able to fund it, but they would like to see it get funded if possible. So
we don't know how much funding is at these other sources. When we're talking about like
I can give you that number.
Okay.
If you're actually interested.
So East Peoria, okay, so they're asking for 270 federal. How much of that is 5310 and how much of that is the enhanced thing or whatever that's called at the end?
So if we did the East Peoria one, I would recommend that you all would fund the engineering, and then we would go to our enhancement group and ask them to fund the construction side of it.
How much is the engineering?
I was just gonna ask. 45.
45,000, 45K roughly.
Yeah. So it'd be those three plus the 28 too.
And on the Peoria one, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Greg.
Just saying it's 50, it's 56,000.
56,000, right, 56 there, 56, okay.
What, for the East Peoria?
For East Peoria, yeah, for the engineering part. And then the construction part, they would apply for the other side.
Okay, pardon my ignorance.
Oh, yeah. So when I calculated, I'm sorry, I calculated only the 80%. So these are the 100% of funding requests. So they require a match. So it's 20. So I was calculating 20% of those.
45.
Or I'm sorry, 80% of those.
Got it. So 45 is correct.
45 is the correct number.
Oh, it's the 80. Yeah, it would be the federal portion.
The 45,000 was what we could provide based on just on the engineering side on the 80-20 split.
So then the next.
What about Peoria on there? Can we look at Peoria's thing? We kind of talked about, well, no, we didn't talk about that. We talked about
Minus.
Yeah, this one is tricky because they did not.
They didn't break it out.
They didn't break it out with a transit element in their budget.
Yeah, and it's all in construction because they're using their local MFT funding for all the engineering. So it's only in construction, which makes it complicated of breaking it out from there to help fund it.
That's the pure Pioneer Park one?
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so how many other fundings have they applied for?
It was,
They applied for 5310 in enhancement. When somebody applies for enhancement, they're applying for 2 funding programs, which is our transportation alternative and carbon reduction.
yes, and both of these other ones have significantly more funds available. 5310 unfortunately had the least.
Yeah.
But they have a better chance
For-
of being funded.
Our enhancement funding pot, we have 2.65 million available.
I need to see the breakdown.
Yeah, they didn't tell us which areas would be transit related, so we don't know.
Yeah, this one wasn't, and we don't have they used the correct form, but they didn't, the benefit of the Beacon one is they gave the specific line items, so you could kind of like pick from there. It kind of help with estimating funding.
When you showed the Pekin one, you showed like the breakdown. Is there one for the Pioneer Park one?
No.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
yeah, they just did not submit something like that.
Okay, so we got $133,000 left if we do East Peoria.
You want to go through the grading?
Just take, I wonder if that would just take too long. So let's see, we're not doing Pearl. There's still Washington at 100,000. And unfortunately, we can't do We Care. It is on the table. If we feel that it's not worth it to spend all the money, we can take any remaining unobligated funds and just put it into next year's call for projects. So we won't lose anything we won't obligate. So if we just do, for example, Washington, we do 100, and then East Peoria, the engineering only was 44,800. Then the remainder from that, we could just put into our pot of funding next year. That's an option.
Okay. And again, I apologize because I'm new to all this. So if we did the 45,000, or whatever it was, the 45,000 for
East Peoria.
East Peoria, and we did the full amount for Washington, the 100,000, is that correct? Is that with the 80%? That's the 80%.
Well, ours is Washington.
50 and 50.
50.
Right, yeah.
So
So
city.
200, so 100 would
township
be.
are coming up.
So if we did 100 for Washington, 45, that leaves us with 33,000 to put either towards next year, or we could apply towards Pioneer Park, right?
If we choose.
Okay.
But
Pioneer Park also has other fundings.
Right.
and so does Pekin.
So yeah, I'm not even worried about that.
Pekin
I mean, I am, but
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean.
right.
on the Pekin one, well, yeah, but on the Pekin one, you were talking about, there's like, in this enhanced, there was 2,650,000 in that pool. Was that part of that pool was for Pekin 2 on the enhanced, or is Pekin going after some other grants that were out there or other things beyond the enhanced?
So they were also going for some reconstruction funding.
Okay.
And that pool is 7 million in funding there.
Do we designate what we're funding? Because you said that there was 2,000 for bus stops, right? 2,000 for 2 bus benches?
Oh, yes, for
For
Beacon.
Beacon.
Yes.
I mean, we could throw that in, right? Unless we can't designate that that's what it's for.
We could, but that one for the administrative burden on Pekin, I don't know would be worth it for them.
Okay.
Because then you for the 2,000, we'd only be able to fund 80% of that, and then they'd have to supply with 20%.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if somebody receives funds through this, through these means, then they have to, I ask them for updates every couple months, and then they have to send, invoices and like tell us the updates of like, hey, we worked on this in this time, then I have to tell the FTA. So there is an administrative part of it.
And I would even think for the 33,000, the city of Peoria might be like, yeah, or drop a bucket of 2 million to do what you're asking for reports. I like the idea of funding the engineering as you have it up there and 100,000 for Washington. And I would carry over and then maybe we can make more of an impact on some of these larger projects next year.
Do we foresee more?
It's hard to say.
More than 100,000?
Oh, I don't know yet. They tell us the numbers like April, something like that, for the upcoming year. They, meaning the FTA, they release these funding amounts.
I agree. I think we should carry that remainder over.
Greg, did I hear you start to say something?
Just agreeing with Janine, I'd fund the 2 and then hold.
Okay,
I agree.
I agree.
nice. Okay. Is there anyone who doesn't agree with this, who wants to talk more? That sounds great. Well, thank you, everyone. I know this was kind of a frustrating at times, but I do appreciate your patience.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. We can't do this on our own, so we're able to help.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in being part of the committees for the enhancement, reviewing those, the door is open to join those meetings as well if you're interested. And those are the enhancement, that one's on Halloween at 9 a.m. in this room. So if you're interested, and I can send you stuff in advance for the review. So that's totally up to you guys.
Is there a requirement of how many I have to attend, or is it just as I can? Because my other job is pretty demanding.
Yeah, no, there's no requirement. It's just if you're interested, the door is open for you to participate in it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could I get possibly that?
Yeah, we can forward it to you.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you're able to make it, that's great. If not, that's also fine. If you
I
want,
would just say invite me to every single one you have, and the ones I can make it to, I will definitely be there.
Okay.
I'm very interested in that.
Sure.
Okay, well, we got people heading out. There's one other agenda item that has nothing in it, but does anyone want to say anything else?
Yes, I know this might be off topic, but because of the Pioneer Parkway project, it's very hard to get into and out of 2000 Pioneer Parkway, which is a building with lots of little businesses in it. And if you can be approached from Willow Knolls or Knoxville, but with my vision limitations, it's very, very tough. And so I appreciate people telling me more things. Thank you for your patience in allowing me to participate today. The other thing is that in order to use City Lift in Pekin, people have to take the fixed route bus from Peoria to Pekin, Route 19. And it drops you off at the courthouse. And there is no way that most people with devices can get to the benches at the courthouse and be on time for their City Lift. So they end up standing to get City Lift to meet them at the Tazewell County Courthouse. And I just wanted to lift up that piece of information because I don't think people who, and this may be a bias on my part, but people who don't have to walk it don't know about it. And so it takes a couple extra hours, even though you can use public transportation, which I support. So thank you for listening. And I apologize if I cut off anybody. So thank you very much, Chris Mitchell here. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I was not aware of that. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, that's
That's
a little
very
bizarre.
frustrating. Okay. All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for the comments. Does anyone else have anything else before we end? Okay, thanks again for joining.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you. We will. Bye.
Hello? Hello?